All right, so we're doing season 3 of Telltale's The Walking
New
Dead now.
Frontier.
We did season 1, we did season 2. This might be one video, this might be separate videos. Who knows at this point?
Yep.
And
Off the rip.
this is kind of going to be a different structure to the other ones, because with the others we went episode by episode,
Yeah.
and kind of also rated episodes and kind of had like a look at.
Instead of episodically, we're doing this as a sort of summary, right?
This is basically a kind of an overall kind of view
It's a review
of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the reason that is because we don't actually have too much to say in terms of like kind of character analysis.
Even if I wanted to do it the way we did the other way, in terms of breaking down every little scene, I don't think I have the capacity to.
I can't remember much.
Yeah, because a lot of the scenes are forgettable, and I don't want to put myself through the strain of bringing those memories back up.
Right. I think what Ed's trying to say.
We should, yeah. What we are trying to say.
What we're trying to say
This is a majority shared opinion on this season. We don't like it.
I don't think it's going to be a controversial statement to say that it's probably the weakest of the Walking Dead. Probably.
It is the weakest.
It's one of the weaker kind of Walking Dead products that are out. And I mean, I do think there are certain things that are praiseworthy. I'm not completely.
We will try not to make this bias. There will be props where props are due, whether that is one prop, like whether that's us being nice about it.
A single prop.
We will I will try to look at it from both sides because that's only fair. It's only right.
Yeah.
If anyone does like.
Well,
it.
I think in terms of I think I'm going to start with some backstory first.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually.
Which is like, this was I want to say
2017,
2016,
2016,
and this was around. This was when like Telltale was in like full output mode.
Yeah.
So I want to say the Batman
was out. Batman out.
They did the Batman Telltale series. They did Guardians of the Galaxy, Minecraft. They were doing so much shit, and I think maybe kind of the quality of the season dipping a bit is probably correlated to that, because I think they put a lot of their like A-team on the Batman series,
and it also just quantity over quality for them.
Yeah, because they were getting so many offers
the
for
demand,
like different things.
Yeah, their output demand was high.
So they were like,
to get games out. They wanted to make revenue, profit while the Telltale hype was real.
Yeah,
and it led to A New Frontier overall being rushed and just unfulfilling.
And I mean, yeah, like we did say, it isn't like the worst thing ever.
It's playable.
You can walk around in the game. We'll give it that.
You could buy the game right now and play it.
It is a game that you can.
It's a thing you can.
It's a game that you can buy.
Yeah.
And that's
you can purchase it, and whether you.
It got made.
It happened.
Which is that's kind of an achievement that somebody got something made.
Yeah.
But I think sort of the main issues are.
So what did this come out? 2 years after season 2? Then.
Yeah, I want to say it.
2 years. So whilst they did have more time from season 2 to 3 than they did for 1 to 2, the external factors which we briefly mentioned may have contributed to why it was
I mean, even though they did have kind of, I think they probably would have had a longer development time. I think because they just had so much shit going on that they couldn't put all of their best people onto.
No, they couldn't put all the eggs in one basket.
Which is a shame, considering that Walking Dead is their flagship.
It's a shame, yeah.
That's their big series.
But I think maybe the reason they ultimately went for that was because they had faith in this new story that they had, because season 3 is so vastly different to other seasons that it's alarming.
Well, it's an entirely new perspective, because it isn't even because even though 2 changes into Clementine's perspective, it's still about Clementine's journey. That's what these games most of the games are about, is about Clementine's journey and kind of like her growing up, and like the game, Clementine's kind of development is more of an awkward side story
in this one, yeah.
In this rather than any sort of like main focus.
It almost feels like they went for this sort of blockbuster story, which everyone would be thrilled about due to. Well, there's a lot of things. Well, basically, there's a lot of things different in this season. Not just the story, but from the game graphics, the design, the action sequences. It's very, very different. and it's almost like they thought that the Clementine ship was going dry, and they wanted something brand new and fresh, something that would catch the eyes of people watching. And you know, it's a motive. It's a fair enough motive when you put it like that. But it was executed extremely poorly, and what you got was a lackluster result.
Well, I think they probably just kind of mixed on what they wanted to do. And I think that kind of leads into how like the game opens kind of poor, like in terms of Clementine's story. Honestly, I think
lack of.
Well, I think the opening for Harvey is pretty good. Like
that. I'm just gonna come out and say episode 1 is the best episode of the season.
Oh, it's, yeah,
which isn't me. That's not that big praise.
It's not high praise, but it's like.
But
it's kind of the one that gives you the most to work off.
Yeah, well, episode 1 is the best. The opening scene is okay. Like, what we got to remember is we have to take this as, because I could go on for ages about how it's ridiculous how Clementine's story wasn't continued and this new family comes and makes things complicated. But if I'm gonna do it fairly, and I have to do it as if, okay, this is a new story, and I've got to critique it like that. The first scene is good. It is good.
Well, it's because it kind of establishes David and Harvey's conflict.
Yeah.
Because Harvey's late to like his father, who's like dying.
I think it's fairly good at establishing what the characters are gonna be like, and you kind of have this cool sequence of events where. Well, you've got to remember you're back at the beginning of the apocalypse. Yeah. You're basically getting backstory to where this family is going to go from here on out.
Because they think that he's like, because when he dies and they're all kind of sad about it, but then he wakes up again and they think, oh, he's still alive.
Yeah.
And it's like that is a scary thought to have. That's like a good concept for like that zombie kind of starting.
It was almost like a horror scene.
Because
they had the title card going on. It did feel very movie-esque. The way they went about the opening scene, and I didn't mind that, but the problem with it is that from there on out, it was a downhill roller coaster.
Well, and I think one of the problems,
actually, it wasn't even a roller coaster. There were no twists and turns. This was a straight dive down into the depths of.
Well, I think one of the issues immediately is that, like every other, we were talking about this a little bit, but every other Walking Dead game starts with you entering a new group. Like, you are the outsider in the group, and then you enter it, and then you can kind of make your own relationships.
You make your opinion about what group you're with, as the character does too, because you are seeing
the group as they are,
and you are the character's also seeing the group for the first time.
And you
work it out with the character you're playing.
Yeah, and it gives you chance to role play. It gives you chance to be like, oh, I want to treat this character this way. I want to treat this character.
Whereas
like this.
when in this story, you've got already established relationships.
You start out.
You have no control as to where it starts off in terms of
you start out like 5 years into the apocalypse, so you've been with this group for 5 years, and it's like there's no room.
And it's not like you're an outsider coming into this group. You are
your family.
Well, you're basically the leader of the group, because I mean, Harvey he's basically
responsibility.
The leader, isn't he, for
like you've already taken responsibility for your actions, and like the whole kind of moral of the story is like Harvey learning to become like a responsible person, but he's been a responsible person for the past 5 years.
For 5 years.
Like, he's taken care of a family for that long. It's like he's kind of already reached that goal. Well, I think in the story maybe would have benefited from maybe having it take place earlier in the apocalypse. And even though that would have messed up the timeline.
Yeah, well, basically, like, in short, it shouldn't have happened.
No.
Because it was never going to work, and it couldn't work. And it shouldn't have happened, but they went for it.
But I think it would have worked if it was truly standalone. Like, they've had to have it be so far into the apocalypse so that Clementine can be at the appropriate age.
Yeah, well, you think they should have gone maybe like
Michonne kind of like a mini-series set.
If they were set on this and they had to go with it, then yeah. I mean, I'm personally, I'd rather it just wasn't a thing.
But like, I feel like that would have been a much better, because then you would get to see their reactions to the very beginning of it.
Well, you get to grow a relationship with Javi as he does.
Yeah.
With Kate.
And at that point, he's kind of estranged to the family.
Right.
He's kind of a semi-outsider, but by the time we actually start the game, he's been with them for years.
And it's like the game wants you at the end to think, oh well, Javi is a real responsible man now. He's a father figure. But he's basically been a father figure to these kids for 5 years. He's basically been with Kate for 5 years. It's just a total mess, and I think we should get into some more specific things now, because otherwise I'll end up talking about things that I'm not wanting to focus on.
All right, baby. Hell yeah.
I think first of all we should talk about. I briefly mentioned it earlier with the change in sort of game mechanics.
Game mechanics, yeah.
Graphics, design.
Well, I think because kind of from 1 to 2, from season 1 to season 2, there is kind of like a change in kind of gameplay.
Very slight, but yeah, there is.
Because there's more in 2. There's more of an emphasis on like dialogue scenes and kind of quick time event, kind of button mashing kind of moments.
Basically predominantly button mashing.
Yeah, as opposed to the original, which had more kind of focus on puzzles.
Yeah.
But then the third one kind of goes into the action area, like leans into it kind of heavily.
They treat the game as if it's an action movie, don't they? They treat it as if you're watching like a karate.
Well, they try to make kind of Harvey look badass. Like when he's like fighting tons of zombies, and
which doesn't have an effect on you because
it kind of misses the point.
We haven't experienced Javi becoming a badass.
No,
but I think we should stick with the graphics thing though. Like season 1 and 2, whilst they differ in the game mechanics slightly, and even the artistic like style of the characters is a little different, but you can see that they're with that same style.
It's mostly similar, yeah.
I'd say season 2 just looks a bit more mature. Like I'd say the characters have slightly more detailed faces.
It's more defined,
but the style is still there.
Similar,
the style is there. You can tell it's a Walking Dead game instantly. Yeah. Whereas season 3 takes this whole different approach, and the characters look incredibly different.
I'm not going to sugarcoat. It's one of the ugliest games I've ever seen.
It looks it's so weird because you can clearly see that they wanted to stay within the style. They didn't want to make it a hyper realistic game like you see, for example, The Last of Us. But at the same time, they tried to. You can tell they wanted to make the characters look more realistic whilst staying within said style. But what you ended up getting was this ugly
mishmash,
sort of
uncanny valley sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
And it's just. I think the best way to describe how the characters look is like they're shiny plastic dolls.
That is also like the lighting is really weird because
it's actually off-putting.
Everything looks like kind of unnecessarily shiny and kind of murky
all of a sudden, right?
And it looks like there's been a filter has been put on it. It looks like there's been like a brown filter that's been put on everything. And like everything just looks like disgusting and brown.
It's got this sort of like weird browny orange tint throughout the game.
Yeah, that's the color scheme is brown and orange, and it's like the original like 1 and 2 didn't really have that kind of rusty. It didn't have like a rusty aesthetic. But with this, like I feel like everything just kind of looks like garbage. Like there's no kind of nice looking vistas. Everything is like an ugly town. Like Prescott.
But the thing is, I think they want it to look
ugly. Like I get what they're trying
No, they don't want it to look ugly. They want you to be like, wow, it's looking more realistic now. But what you end up getting, but it does the opposite effect. They're so shiny that it's unrealistic and off-putting.
And it's just there's way more graphical errors. Because there's way more times in this season where like the characters' eyes would just be cloudy, and like you couldn't see their pupils. Yeah. Like I got that a few times where like their eyes would just be kind of like white. They wouldn't be pure white, but they would have like a little white tint over them.
Yeah.
And they would look like their eyes are they're like partially blind when they're talking, and even things like the camera being out of focus for like a couple seconds, where like when the scene starts, you just see the background and everything in the foreground is blurry.
Yeah.
And it's like you didn't have those kind of visual issues with the first two games. But it's like this is a game that probably has a bigger budget than the other ones and has had more time.
And you can tell they've put more time into the graphics because otherwise the shift wouldn't be so
No, they wouldn't have made such a big shift.
Well, I mean, based on playing the game.
Because I mean, Michonne,
they had more time, they spent more time putting effort into how it looks rather than the actual plot.
Well, because I want to say Michonne came out like not even that long ago, not even long before, and it has almost the exact same style as season 2.
That one looks
and
fine.
It looks better, yeah.
This one, it's so weird. It's like they've just got this and they're always glowing. Like their skin has been oiled down to perfection.
They all look oily.
There's no sense. You're in the apocalypse here. There is no moisturizer.
Well, maybe they're trying to make.
For some reason they look like that.
I was thinking maybe they're trying to make it seem like it's hot, like the temperature's hot. But
that's what I was thinking with the brownish yellow tint.
But then temperature never plays into the story.
No, it doesn't.
There's never a moment where they're like, oh, it's so hot, we're running out of water. That never plays into the story. It's not like 2
I
where
think
it's like the cold.
We get the
is a big part of
impression,
it.
obviously, that they're further south than they were in the second season.
Yeah.
But at no point does the heat hinder them. Well, no, it doesn't hinder them at all.
No.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into the bigger issue, is that kind of like survival.
The lack of survival
has
instinct.
become less of a
necessity
big deal
for them.
because especially in 2, but also in 1, there is such like an emphasis put on resources, like the lack of resources. Like a good section in season 1, if you remember, is when he's like, "Oh, I've only got like 7 bullets," and you like go up to the stairs and you have to shoot them, and there's actually only 7 bullets.
And another one would be when he's handing out the food rations as well.
Yeah, and it's like, and in season 2, you've obviously got like the whole of episode 4 and 5 is them just looking for food.
Yeah.
Like that's the end goal. It's not like this big conspiracy theory.
In Carver's camp, they're getting fed.
Yeah.
In the cabin.
Because like everything.
The cabin, they go hunting. It gets where you see the hunting scene.
And it's like there's such an emphasis put on, like the struggle to survive.
Yeah, because the game developers know that we're in the apocalypse here. Yeah. They're never going to forget about the almost inevitable and continuous struggle of surviving in a world where food is no longer served on a
guaranteed
plate,
and the thing is, like, it's because it's like food is never even really, I don't think food is ever really brought up, like, because I know in the beginning
there's one scene where I can remember.
Well, the one scene I'm thinking of is when he's like they arrive at the junkyard first.
The yogurts and stuff,
and he's like
I can't remember what they are.
And he's like, should we go get? But that isn't treated as, we need to get food now. It's more treated as, can we have a treat and stay?
It's they're not even
that like
ecstatic to see it. It's more just, oh wow, well yeah, what a treat,
Yeah, let's have all this yogurt, man.
I do remember one scene.
So if you haven't seen food for weeks, you'd be like fucking grabbing all of it.
I mean, maybe that's meant to imply that they're fine as it is, but how are they? It never gets explained.
No,
their food situation never gets. They never shed light on it. I mean, I think I remember one other scene where it's Joan and what's the name of the other leader of Richmond?
Clint.
I am so surprised you remember that. I am actually. Clint. That's impressive.
Thank you.
But yeah, if you remember when you meet them, Joan has a cake and he has like a spinach,
and then you have to make the tough decision to decide which one.
But once again, it's like a luxury to them. Maybe that's, to be fair, maybe that's meant to symbolize that they have it good, their food situation, but that's never a relief for Harvey.
Yeah, but we never really find out how their food production kind of works. It's just kind of like, we have everything we need.
All they say is Clint is involved in.
Yeah, and it's like with the St. John's, you get that they're dairy farmers and that they are on a dairy farm and that they would get.
Yeah.
So like when people would go, why do you have all this food to give us? It would make sense because they run a dairy farm.
And even
whilst Clint is in like they're in the middle of a city. Like where is he farming?
Yeah, and it's also, you never see any scenes of him.
You never
operating in that sector.
And that's the issue, because in an apocalypse, the main issue should be survival.
Otherwise, and if it isn't, then it takes you out of the reality.
Yeah, because it's like, where are they getting?
What am I watching? I so feel like they wanted to make this a blockbuster movie as opposed to an apocalyptic.
Well, I mean, that's why there's such an emphasis on like these big action moments, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like guns are shooting everywhere. There's like tear gas being thrown, and it's like when you stop and think, where is all this coming from?
Yeah.
And it's like that has been an issue sometimes in other Walking Dead stuff, where you think, he kind of just has like a lot of ammo, but it's like you don't think about it because you're so invested in it. But when you're like kind of in season 3, you're kind of just like walking about, just like, what's going on?
Also, just like
from thing to thing, you think about it. You actively think, where is all this coming from?
Yeah, well, I think with the other examples you just gave, you're wrapped up in it for the story or whatever. But also at times they'll just have a small hint at where stuff is coming from, and that's all you really need. We don't need to go into the big details. But with season 3, it's so alarming and so obvious that you do just question what's going on. Like some of the things and stunts they do are so unbelievable, and they try to mask it by giving you these cool sequences where you're pressing, because there's more of this than in any other season, where you're pressing this weird combination of buttons and it's meant to feel all cool and stuff. But you can tell it's so drawn out, and they use it so often that I don't care about it.
Yeah.
And then once again you just think about, okay, where are they getting all this stuff from?
Where's he got the energy to do all this shit? And
how is he running up walls? How is he?
Well, I was gonna say probably the biggest offender of this kind of like actionization of the series is Jesus. And I mean,
such a weird sentence.
Yeah, and I mean
to say
that Jesus, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, like if you don't know, Jesus isn't like an original character for the games. He's in the comic books as like a character way into the apocalypse.
Yeah, and how many years into the apocalypse is that roughly?
I don't know, maybe like almost a decade.
Yeah,
must be because like late, and like it's and it's just like why? Okay, first of all, why is Jesus here? Because Jesus serves no purpose.
It's so unnecessary,
in the story.
So uncalled for.
And like his whole like him trying to be cool, like jumping off walls and like kicking zombies in the head and killing. It's like it's so just unrealistic.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. There were actually times, and I think a lot of people like Jesus as a character because they think he's cool, like how the game wants you to think. But there were genuine times where I was playing this with another friend of mine, and we would physically laugh out loud when he did some of these stunts.
Well, because it's so absurd.
It's so absurd.
Like he's got like those binds,
and he just gets out,
and he just goes
immediately.
Like,
if you
breaks them,
yeah.
And it's like.
At one point, he runs up a wall. At one point, he sidekicks his way into a locked door.
You gotta respect it. He's just that cool, man.
It doesn't make me think he's cool. It makes me think, how the hell is this possible?
Maybe he's actually
and it's just another one of these factors that just sucks me out of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because I'm not playing The Walking Dead anymore.
Well, this game has no kind of immersion or atmosphere, which I think the other games get well. Is they immerse you in the world with the music, the locations. With this, there's nothing that really gets you invested.
Action scenes can be good and they can be important, but so long as you care about the characters involved in said action scenes.
Yeah.
And quite simply, we don't care about these characters.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, like,
do you want to talk about that a bit more, or have you got something else to say first?
No, new characters is probably a good thing because I think
thing to segue into.
Yeah, because I mean, they don't do great with the new characters. I think is the issue.
Well, the thing is, they introduce. I was gonna say, they introduced loads of them. In fairness, season 2 did that as well. But it's all about justifying your decision to include loads of characters, because introducing new characters has its whole set of problems. You've got to establish relationships with them. You've got to care about them. You've got to have enough scenes where you're getting to know them, knowing their backstory.
You've got to kind of justify why they're there in the first place. Why are they still sticking with this group?
Right? And season 2 added a lot of characters, but you cared about pretty much all of them, whether it be you hated them or you liked them. You still had a connection to them.
And well, it was a consistent group.
Yeah.
Like, people died off, but it was like a consistent kind of core group. Whilst I feel like Javi's kind of things, he constantly separates from them. Like, there's loads of times where he'll just go off on his own little thing to, like, fuck with his brother or something.
Yeah, well, I almost feel like maybe it feels like they introduced even more characters this season than they did the last. Maybe they didn't, but it feels like it because you get so overwhelmed with it. And we've already touched on why Javi's family is an issue, in the fact that they've been with each other for 5 years. We don't know anything about them. Their relationships and their statuses are all already set in stone. But then you can come to the other characters who aren't involved in the family. Let's just name some: Eleanor, Trip, Ava,
Conrad.
Conrad. Characters like these.
I'm playing, bro.
Who just have such less of an impact on you than any of the cabin crew, for example, in season 2. They are so undeveloped.
And I mean, like, some of them I like. Like, I like Kate. I think Kate is probably one of the stronger characters.
Yeah, well, credit where credit's due. Yeah, she is.
Kate, and then I mean, Gabriella was cool, I guess, for like 5 seconds before she got shot in the head.
Yeah, Gabriella was a character who had more potential than Gabe.
But they kill her off, and I feel like she could have had. I feel like her. I don't mind her dying, but I feel like it would have been even more impactful if it happened later on, if we had more time with her.
Yeah, I have no problems with them killing her the way they did, in the sense that
shocking and sudden,
horrific. But it was the end of episode 1, where at the beginning of any episode 1, you're still trying to get the gist of who the people you are.
It's like you've already killed off like a core member of the group within the first episode.
And I get it, like Javi's been with her for 5 years, that is a big thing, but we haven't. The player hasn't. So maybe if you did that later on in the thing, that would have had more of an impact on the player.
And it's teasing you because they know that the player is going to like her. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, fuck you. Which I guess was like trying to be like kind of surprising, but it's like I would have preferred if you kept her alive and developed her.
I found it more annoying than shocking.
Well, because we weren't as invested in her yet.
I was just annoyed because obviously I knew that these 2 kids were going to be somewhat important, But out of them at the time, I much preferred. What's her name? Is it Mariana?
Mariana, yeah.
Mariana, yeah. I much preferred her than Gabe.
I think I said Gabriella earlier.
That's why it threw me off guard. I was like, wait, is she called that?
Yeah, because I was confused.
Is it Mariana?
Gabe.
Or is it
Mariana,
Gabriella?
yeah.
You sure?
I said
Okay.
Gabriella by accident.
Okay.
Confused him with Gabe.
Yeah. God, yeah. It's easy to get mixed up. Don't worry. They're just so unlikable, I think. Well, no, they're either unlikable or
Forgettable.
Unlikable, forgettable, or undeveloped. You know, every character has potential, but the potential doesn't get tapped into enough this season at all.
Well, I think probably one of the stronger characters is David. I think David is one of the stronger characters. Like, I think the issue, one of the big issues, is that they couldn't figure out what they wanted to focus on, like what kind of story they wanted to focus on. And I feel like the stronger stuff is the brother dynamic. And I feel like if you had David from the beginning, you could have had like a whole seasons of build up between them, and like the tension growing between them, so that like their final confrontation could have been better. Kind of like with the season 2 kind of build up there, but it's like you could have had that between brothers, but it's like David doesn't really like isn't really even a core part of the group for a lot of it.
No,
because for a lot of the time he's sort of off doing something else, or he'll only join you for a bit then leave, and it's like you're missing out on all this character stuff we could have.
Yeah, so much of it that you miss out on, and they try and patch that by giving you these recurring flashbacks, which I guess is their way of saying, oh, so this is why their relationship's strained. Oh, this is why. Which is, to me, just a pathetic way of doing it.
But I'd rather do it, like, I'd rather
in the moment.
Do it in the moment, and
yeah,
like
so would I.
have the time to do it
So
at
would
my
I.
own pace over like I don't know, it just, because none of the other games felt the need to do flashbacks. I mean, other than the beginning of season 2.
Well, it's almost like they felt they needed to, because there was so much context missing.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, we've got to have another flashback, and there's so much of that.
It's just another reason why it was unnecessary to have us following this family.
It's such a poorly structured kind of story.
Yeah, I
mean, like, it feels like we're having these flashbacks all the time, and then also at the same time as they're doing this, they have to balance Clem's story, and it feels like they almost didn't want to bother with Clementine.
It's almost like Clementine is like including her in the story is a chore to them. That's how it feels when you play it anyway. It feels like she's an obstacle.
Yeah, because if you think about it,
it's like they were so determined to set this new story into it, but then they forget that Clementine has to be a part of it. Why does she have to be a part of it? Because people are only playing it for Clementine.
If they hadn't include like Clementine, if you had never played any previous Walking Dead games, you just see Clementine as like this. Why are they cutting to her?
Yeah.
Like, what's all this backstory?
It doesn't feel like she belongs in the story.
No,
which is a real shame, because whenever she's on the screen, she's the person you care about the most, because you've followed her story.
Even though she's at her weakest here, she's still the better character of most of them.
Yeah, that's just another problem in itself, is her lack of screen time, her lack of presence, and just lack of importance.
Why aren't we playing as her?
That's what you find yourself. I actually remember saying that out loud several times.
Yeah.
Why aren't we playing as her?
Because it's like Javi is like fine. Javi's like a fine character.
But that's what he's just fine. He's just that's it.
But he feels like he feels like he's intruding on this story.
I feel like he's boring.
We've played 2 seasons of Clementine's story, and now we're suddenly like Clementine's story suddenly become like a side mission.
Yeah, and it's not like Javi grows on you through loads of scenes with Clem, because they don't have that many.
No.
And the ones they do have feel pressured. They feel forced. Like, there's certain scenes where they try and make Javi come across as a brotherly figure to her.
I feel like they're trying to make him like Luke.
Oh, definitely. That's the
and it's like it doesn't work.
Well, they try and make it so Clem goes to him for advice and stuff.
It's like, why would she?
But she wouldn't. She hardly knows this man.
Yeah, and she's like. I feel like the way she's portrayed in season 3 is that she's much more like cynical and alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would she just randomly trust Javi because he says he has a family?
Yeah. I feel like Clem. This is like the beginning of Clem becoming super independent and careful with who she talks to, who she interacts with, who she opens up to. But then they go against that sort of key value of hers just for the sake of having you interact with Javi.
Yeah, and it's like the reason why she trusted Luke in season 2 is because Luke literally saved her. and she was like bleeding, and she really had no other choice. Like Luke literally saved
Luke
her.
and Pete came to her when she was at her absolute worst.
And in this, like, she just meets Harvey, and like at first she's like,
well, if anything, she saves Harvey.
yeah, and it's like,
Right?
why does she feel like she has to
She
come
does.
along to help them?
You're telling me Clem hasn't come across people like this before?
Yeah.
And she's just gone along with their stories and gone along to where they're from and stuff. That's not true.
No.
That just can't be true.
And I mean, even having,
Clementine wandering around by herself is an issue in itself.
I mean, I don't
which we'll
agree.
get onto later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even agree with like the idea that like AJ isn't even in it for most of the story.
No.
Like, why miss out on all of this
He's
potential
not even a
development?
side character. He's a background character.
He pretty much is. He's basically an extra.
His
He's set decoration.
He's sort of like the fact that he's in it is important because it offers Clem motivation to get him back, but he's not in it. You know, you don't see any. You have hardly any scenes of Clem and AJ like together. You get these flashbacks, which they did for Clementine as well, but it doesn't. It's not enough. It's not enough, and it's a problem, man. Because Clem, you don't care about Clem with any of these characters. You don't care about Harvey with any of these characters because there's no intimate scenes between any of them at all. And maybe there is, but not enough for it to leave a lasting.
Well, they just aren't written well enough because the dialogue. The
intimate scenes are bad and lacking in quantity. Like, for example, I can name so many characters and compare them to characters from season 1 and 2, which are just so like undeveloped in comparison that it's sort of bewildering, honestly. Like Trip, for example, compare him to any season 2 cabin character. Compare him to season 1 characters.
Better. Trip is the greatest character ever put in a video game, bro. You're the boss, Harvey. You're the boss.
Fuck's sake.
That is you have a kind of a vendetta against Trip, and I'll never understand.
No, I have a vendetta against all of them.
Pretty much.
Honestly.
Well, I hate Ava, so.
The thing, I think, honestly, Trip's probably the most likable out of them. But the things that happen to Trip and the things Trip do. Yeah, the things he does, cloud my sort of perception of him. Because although you can tell he's just a nice guy. The things like the fact that he supports Harvey for so long and the fact he's so welcoming of him when he arrives at Prescott makes no sense.
Well, he isn't welcoming of him at first. Is he? Because I remember they kind of have conflict. He's like, why are you causing trouble in the...
Oh, good point,
bar?
Well, I think what I mean to say is that the fact that...
In the aftermath of
yeah,
Prescott.
sorry, not the welcoming, the sort of after the whole shootout goes on.
Attack, yeah. But I still like him, though, because I feel like he's just attaching himself to Harvey, because even though everybody else from Prescott's dead, that is kind of like the last...
But Harvey is almost responsible.
And there's Eleanor, I guess. Eleanor is still kind of there.
Kind of there, yeah.
Mid, but, you know.
You don't care about them.
Trip, my boy.
And the thing is... I do
I do kind of like the little relationship things. It does feel out of place.
Which
when he asks Harvey for advice.
That doesn't happen enough, though.
Yeah. I think it happens like twice.
I don't mind that as well, because as I said like previously, I like scenes where
you gotta fight for it, Harvey.
I get
you gotta fight for it.
No, it's Harvey who's giving the advice to Trip.
Trip, love is complicated, man. That's terrible, bro.
You know what? Maybe, well, there's not enough intimate scenes between characters, and the ones that are there aren't good because of another problem, which I think we should get into now, which is dialogue.
You're the boss. You're the boss, man.
The dialogue in this season compared to the other seasons is so... I'm trying to think of an adjective, honestly, that actually... Bad? That might be enough.
It's on the level of, like, strange... Not strange. I was thinking... It's on the level of, like, 13... No, wait a minute. It's on the level of, like... Life is Strange. Life is Strange.
No, I haven't played that game.
Have you not?
No.
That game is terrible. That game sucks. But it's got like terrible and it's like this. I don't know what happened to the old writers. Like I don't know if this was like a new team of writers or if they were just tired, or if they were on like other projects. Because I feel like they put a lot of the good people onto the Batman game, but like the dialogue is terrible.
Well, listen, right, like the sort of quality of a voice actor is that they have the skill of communicating a character's opinions as if they're in the same room as the character they're speaking to, as if they're actually in that like situation. But in this season, it sounds as if you're listening to two voice actors doing it over a call.
Well, I mean,
not even a call.
And the issue is like the dialogue is so bad that like even the greatest voice actor of all time could make some of these lines not sound good.
Yeah.
Like some of it just does not work out. And there was the issue, of course, where we talked about this earlier. It was the issue of like, this wasn't an issue in the other seasons, but in this one specifically, there are times where like Harvey will either you get given an option, and Harvey will just do the option, but not in the way that you intended. Yeah. And I feel like a majority of people would have expected him to act differently. Like there's the scene with the
Kate and David in
the kitchen, and it's like
tell him off,
or kind of back off,
or just stay out of it.
And it's like tell him off. Most people would think, oh, when Harvey says to tell him off, Harvey's going to say, hey David, why are you treating your wife like this?
Defending Kate.
So
that you hope to choose that decision because it will make you closer with Kate, because she appreciates the fact that you're defending her and standing up for her, right?
But then the option to tell David off, instead, Harvey says, me and Kate were talking, Kate's gonna leave your ass. And it's like, what? In what world is that what the player wants when they select that option?
Because, in a way, that line alone, not only is you telling David off and getting on his bad terms, but Kate disdains you for it. She literally comes as she should, by the way, because if that was said, you would react like she does. Why would me as a player want to choose an option that negatively affects my relationships with both the people in the situation?
Yeah, you can't even pick a side.
That wouldn't even be a thing. Do you know what it is? It's because the option is so vague, but at the same time, the idea you do get from its vagueness isn't carried out,
and I feel like
they just go along with
most people are going to kind of interpret it the way we did, which is defend Kate, tell off.
But it turns into
David.
telling off both of them, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like what? It's like I don't know why they would write that down.
It's embarrassing. And not only does this happen multiple times, where you choose something and Harvey goes off on a tangent about something else, the delivery of the lines isn't good either. It isn't sold with any conviction, I don't think.
No,
It sounds forced, and it sounds out of place because obviously they have to record, I imagine like tons, loads of lines for different dialogue options and stuff. But the dialogue options that are consistent and will happen no matter what, if you were to choose something later on, which is, whether it be Harvey being more aggressive or whatever, or even if you choose something and he sounds aggressive, it just sounds so out of place because he'll have gone from having a calm conversation with someone to straight up ranting about whatever it may be, and it sounds so out of place and so is it insincere or unsincere?
Inauthentic, insincere.
Whichever way
you want to put it.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, that's how it is. That's just simply how it is. Like the delivery of the lines sounds so out of place and rushed and forced and laboured. Honestly,
do you know what? At least Joan's a good character. You
want to go into Joan already?
I don't know, she's a pretty good character.
Do you really want to go into Joan?
I don't know what you're implying, Edward, but I'm pretty sure Joan is the best villain.
I'm going to have like a half an hour segment for Joan.
Carver is mid, bro.
We're going to talk about the villains in this season.
Well, villains is
villains plural because there are smaller villains, but we'll mostly be talking about.
Well, the main antagonist is Joan. Now, Ed,
if you remember her.
Well, Ed, I know you.
Do we have to remind them who she is?
That actually might be the case. Well, Joan is the.
What is she?
Leader?
No, leader. No, because there's 4 leaders.
She's one of the leaders.
3 leaders. 4?
3.
No, 4. Dr. Lingard as well.
God, I forgot.
The guy who gets high. The guy who gets high just randomly with no backstory ever explained.
Anyway, 4 leaders.
Yeah, 4.
Joan is like, I think she's in charge
communications, like with other
settlements.
Yeah, settlements, communities.
And like I think what they're trying to do with Joan is they're trying to do like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing, where she starts out like inconspicuous, but underneath it all, she's like, she's secretly really bad and like crazy evil.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think the main issue with Joan is
as if it's meant to be a twist when you find out that she's done something bad to the group.
Yeah, and I mean, the main issue with Joan is that when she is revealed to be the villain, she doesn't become intimidating.
I don't care. It wasn't even a shock. I was just, wait, who is this again?
Joan.
Why is she on my screen? Wait, who is she? I genuinely had to. I think I knew that she was a leader of Richmond, but I remember genuinely thinking, what was she doing? Oh, she's communicating. Yeah, That shouldn't be the case with the game.
No.
That shouldn't be how it is. You should be so immersed in what's happening that you just know. But I genuinely didn't.
Well, the issue is kind of like she doesn't have any presence. Like Carver, when Carver entered a room, you'd be like, holy shit, this guy's gonna talk. Okay, we gotta listen to what this guy's gonna say because he's gonna say something with authority. And then even in season 4 with Lily, when Lily shows up, it's like, okay, we gotta listen to what she has to say.
I think
was Joan. I feel like it doesn't feel like she poses any threat to anybody.
Yeah, no, I feel like you can go down 2 routes with villains, right? I feel like you can either have that one villain, who in this case is what they tried to achieve with Joan, where you have a character who is meant to not look villainous through their appearance or whatever, but the whole villainy in their character is that later on it gets revealed that they've done something bad, and then there's a shift in it, and they suddenly become the major antagonist, and then it's a big deal. Or you can go down the path of almost like they did with Carver last season, where you've got a character who looks and acts as if there's something wrong, and you know that they're up to dodgy, shady business, but it's a matter of what are they doing and how bad is it. And they went down the former. They went down the route with the former, and it didn't work, because when you have the switch, which is where you're sort of given the reveal that they're a bad character, you need to have this switch where they become almost a different character completely, you know? The things they say, the things they do, they become a lot more powerful and seeking vengeance and stuff. But Joan's delivery of lines, her variety of lines, her appearance, the things she does, they don't really change.
No.
So you're stuck with just the shock value is just completely negated because she's still not threatening.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not even like they go into much detail with what she does. You basically just learn that she's been raiding, right?
Yeah, places. And that's why I think Joan is the best villain. Because you see one of the raids.
Yes.
Well, there's more issues with just that. It's mostly like motivation-wise.
Well, yeah, like, they never reveal with the backstory.
And like, this is an issue with just the New Frontier overall, as like a faction, as like a group. Like, what is their goal? Like, what separates them from any other random
What's
group?
the story behind the
What's
symbol?
with the branding? It's like, I get that it's like a loyalty thing, but like it hasn't worked a lot of the time.
What are the motives? What are the goals?
Why do some people get it on the neck and some people get it on like their upper arm where they can cover it up?
Is it almost ritualistic? Is it some sort of cult
thing? I thought maybe.
Or is it just a friendly community?
When I played it first, I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be revealed to be a cult thing. But like that symbol.
Well, when I saw it's not even tattooed, is it? It's like
a scar. It's like burnt into you. So it's like, these guys have got to be like committed.
I was getting vibes of some sort of cult.
But it's like it's like they literally
the symbol never gets explained, which is just lazy story writing. Why would you even show it if we were never going to get any sort of.
The reason they do it is just to like show like loyalty, right? To be like, hey, I've gotten the willpower to do that or whatever, but like it clearly doesn't work because Clementine's gone off and then Joan's also gone off, so it's like clearly this doesn't work. Anybody can like suffer a momentary amount of pain, and then just go undercover.
Yeah,
like that is not a good test of loyalty. But I guess but they're idiots. The fact that New Frontier is supposed to be like a super well organized group. Which has like they've got like farms, they've got cake, they've got loads of people. It's like
they've got vegan meals,
and they can't even they've got vegan options, and they can't even figure out basic shit. Like they seem like idiots. They're not threatening at all. The only one who's like remotely threatening is David, but like it's not like David kind of
He's not even meant to be the main antagonist, for God's sake.
Well, I think he's supposed to transition to the main antagonist, but his transition to villain only happens like in the last couple minutes of. And it's like, if you were going to make him the villain, he should have been behind the raids.
You should have just stopped with the whole Joan narrative.
Because Joan is a terrible character. I'm just going to say it, she's a terrible character.
Nothing about her is threatening.
Is interesting or intriguing or like remotely kind of original.
Of a dreadful character. Everything about her.
And I mean, like, it's just like, why?
They even tried to keep you like, on the edge of your seat stuff. Is she alive? Is she not alive? Because I think there's a choice where if you go down a certain path, she's like MIA.
Yeah.
At the end of an episode.
I feel like that would have worked if we cared about Joan.
Yeah.
If Joan was.
Imagine if Carver was missing in action.
We would be like, holy shit, what happened to this guy? And like for the rest of the season, we'd be like, is he going to come back?
Yeah.
But
Joan,
like,
one, she doesn't come back. Two, I wouldn't have cared even if even if I.
Yeah, because what's she gonna do? She's gonna show up and and also the issue is.
And the thing is, she gets all of her sort of her puppets to do all the nasty work.
Yeah, I was
going
gonna
to
say that because she doesn't have she doesn't do a lot of the physical intimidation.
Like compare Carver and Joan. They're both the leaders of certain communities. And while Carver does have his sort of entourage of bodyguards and loyal soldiers, if you can even call them that, for example Troy. When it comes down to the nit and gritty, Carver's doing all the dirty work.
Because he's out there.
He's the one proving a point by nearly beating Kenny to death.
Or
He's the one proving
Reggie.
a point by getting Carlos to slap Sarah. He's the one proving a point by murdering Reggie. But Joan never does any of the work for her.
No. I mean, she stands next to David when he's going to get hung, but it's no, she's not hanging him.
No.
She's standing next to the executioner you're going to hang him.
It's so
I'm
shit.
What?
It's so shit.
And it's how can anyone and the problem with Richmond, right, is that we never really see, the scale. We never really see the city in action. Because, a lot of the time the streets are just empty. And, we're just walking around, there's nobody around.
Yeah.
The only time when there are a lot of people on screen is the execution. And it's why is everybody coming out to watch this? And it's how are people... This isn't the Middle Ages. How are these people who lived in a civilized world just openly okay? A majority of them are cheering on him being hung. And even if you think he's a traitor, why would you be oh, this is okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you're just a bystander who knows nothing about it.
Yeah, why would you be why are we doing this?
You'd be protesting about it.
Yeah, and it's I feel like they wanted to try and make it... They tried to
Dramatic.
add some political intrigue too. I think they were trying to with the
two
factions.
leaders. Yeah, factions.
And they were trying to go oh, but it's they really don't even focus on it.
Well, the thing,
they don't really learn
all you learn is
why they're at odds and what the
Yeah.
people think of them.
You broadly get an understanding of what their roles and duties are, but never do you get to see any an insight into how they
The
operate
power
and
struggle,
stuff,
and it's
which takes away the political element.
yeah, and that would have been good if they focused on it entirely. But like they said, there's so much going on in the story, they can't focus on it.
Now some credit.
They can't focus on Clementine's. They can't focus on the brotherly
Takes
relationship.
away.
They can't focus on the political kind of aspect of it.
Like where credit is due though, I like the whole thing where with Ava and Trip, whoever you choose to save is the one who dies. I like that as a concept. I like that as an idea. I think it's shocking. It evokes a reaction out of you. But the problem is, well, let me phrase it differently. It would be a good concept put into reality so long as the characters that were facing the punishment were people you had cared about and had long scenes with.
I mean, if Carver did that with two characters,
so imagine if he did that with I want to say Jane and Luke, but nah, because they're too important for the rest of the seat.
Carlos and Nick or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. That's a great example.
And then that would have,
I'd have to
because
think
then
about
that
it.
would have made us hate him. But it's like
Because you got so many factors to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, if I kill Carlos, Sarah, how's she gonna react? If I kill Nick, Luke.
and it's also like those characters are
Because you care
likable,
about them.
and they have character.
Because Clem has intimate scenes with them one-on-one, as a group. It doesn't matter.
Spends time with them.
And because of this, the concept is cool and all in season 3, but once again, the execution is lackluster because you want to care about the characters, but you don't really. Like I think most people choose to save Trip because he's just his whole personality is a nice guy. But Ava doesn't have enough scenes where you.
And Ava's a terrible character.
Well, Ava is meant to be like David's side.
She's trying to be like the Jane, right?
But she's nothing to Harvey.
No. And it's like, what?
Wait, hang on. No. Maybe I'm wrong.
What are you thinking?
I was thinking, like, why is that even a thing? Because surely Harvey hardly knows Ava. Obviously, he'd just choose Trip. But then I think I remembered that Ava sort of comes into the group a little bit before that.
It's like 5 minutes. Well, all she does is she gives Harvey the bag with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
And I think she's in it for a little bit, but it's
Just like no scene. And this is episode fucking 4.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have had hours of content of us building relationships.
Yeah, and it's like realistically, why would Harvey even think of saving Ava? I guess to like not piss off his brother, but also he doesn't know Ava.
Yeah.
And it's like Ava is a terrible character. I fucking hate that terrible character. She sucks, bro. And like when she's like and like they're trying to do like a Jane, right? They're trying to do like a Jane where she's like a badass. and she's kind of like a loner, but she's like 5 foot. She's like 4'11". She's like Clementine's height, and then she has a confrontation with Trip, and it's like outside.
Oh no! Oh yeah, you gotta go into this.
And she's like, they're having an argument, and Trip is like, what, 6'3", and he's like,
he's built like a
you're
fucking... He's built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
He's fucking huge.
And he's like, you trying to fuck with me? And then she's like, and she pushes him, and he like goes back like that. And then he comes up to her again, and then she punches him. She has to like jump to punch him because she's so short, and then he falls backwards and like collapses.
No, she punches him enough to fucking knock him off his feet.
KOs him pretty much.
So knock off, I'm assuming, like a 150 kg man.
And it's like, what? That doesn't even
That's out
make
of the realm
sense.
of possibilities.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter how strong she is. She isn't even like, she's maybe half his height and a third of his weight.
And she isn't even like...
Doesn't that just go against physics?
And she isn't even like a big muscly that kind of like...
That goes against biology. That literally goes against...
That goes against your feelings. That goes against your facts, Libtard.
I'm sorry, I actually can't believe that.
Isn't that? But the thing is, right, with, you know, like Last of Us 2, right? You've got Abby who's like built massive.
Oh yeah, but that makes sense.
I could believe her that she would knock out a man.
Look at her fucking
because she's got huge arms. But it's like, Ava is like designed as like a tiny little
miniature...
character. And this is the issue,
I don't even
right?
think Jane would be able to knock Trip off his feet.
I think Jane could.
Well, she'd have a better chance than Ava, that's for sure. Yeah.
But then here's the issue, right? They want you to like Ava, and this is the worst part, right? Because AJ gets taken away from you against your will, and then Ava is if you act any sort of hostility towards that decision, Ava is like, you really are a fucking child, aren't you? And it's like, I'm sorry. Yes, I am a literal child, and you were taking away my surrogate son, and what? You're upset that I'm acting a little bit... And he's like, come on, Clem, why don't you just understand? It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're taking away a baby from a teenager, and you're upset that she's having a negative reaction to that.
What is there to understand?
It's so stupid. And then she comes to you and she's like, oh, I can't... even though you acted immature, here you go, here's your shit. I'm like, get out of my fucking face.
Like a hand out? No.
Like, why am I going to shake your fucking hand when you stood there and let my baby get taken?
You supported the decision to take him away.
She's such a bitch.
Like, while at the same
time... And we're supposed to care... And that's David. David is a scumbag. Why am I supposed to like and care about what David thinks?
I don't think I chose to say goodbye. No, I didn't choose to spit in David's face. So I think I didn't get that scene. But I've seen it happen.
But that is so disrespectful.
And it's messed up.
And it's like, why would she not have the slightest bit of sympathy, understanding?
What is it with...
As to why Clementine might react that way.
What is it with characters being, like, bipolar in this season?
I know, there's a lot of that, isn't there?
Trip, you come into his town, right? Prescott. Within 24 hours, that place is getting shot up, destroyed, people evacuating immediately, and he has no problem with you. In fact, it almost strengthens the relationship between you. He sees you as a brother for some reason.
I guess at least Conrad has some sort of conflict.
Yeah, I guess. But then, Trip, what's the thing that he gets pissed off that you did? Something with Eleanor or something? You know when he's pissed off of you before you...
Oh, you didn't tell him that you shot Conrad.
Oh. Okay, that's pretty big, but...
That's fair.
But that he gets so angry about. But the fact that you probably killed more of his friends in Prescott, let's not get us wrong, Conrad's probably a good friend of his. How many people died in that shootout?
A lot of people,
in the fallout. And he's just cool with you. But then for the sake of the plot, it's like... What the hell, Harvey?
Harvey, that was messed up, man. But anyway,
you're no longer the boss, Harvey.
You're not the boss, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that line is dog shit.
They're just another bipolar character, Eleanor.
Eleanor, God.
She actually be cool with you the whole time, right?
She flirts with Harvey a little bit in the first episode, which I was like, oh, is that kind of implying a love triangle?
She does, and then I swear she just snitches on you.
Well, because of Conrad, she snitches on you too, and it's like. Why would she...
What is going on?
Why would she risk, like, getting her like, ex-boyfriend in trouble and, like, these kids in trouble? Why would she risk that? And do you know what? This is part of... I did find this out the other day, but this is part of cut content, where apparently originally... what's her name?
Eleanor?
No, the villain.
Joan.
Sorry. Joan.
Can you imagine us trying to remember Carver's name? Can you imagine that?
Who's that guy? Kenneth?
You got a thick fucking skull.
Got a thick fucking skull, Kenneth.
Anyway, yeah. Continue.
Well, the original idea, I think, was that Joan was going to be Eleanor's mum. I'm not lying. That was kind of
Eleanor's from Prescott, though.
Well, I'm thinking then maybe that would have explained why Eleanor would be more willing to.
Rat you out.
I don't like that idea, but I think it would have made more sense.
I wouldn't care anyway.
But like, it's such like 180, and then how are we supposed to forgive her? Like, and then she's like, "You're all at fault."
And then after it, and then after the zombies get into Richmond, after the hanging shit goes down and David kills blah blah blah, she's then pissed that you won't forgive her. Bitch, what is going on? There is by the way, this could all be justified with in-between scenes. There is no in-between.
No.
She is one side to the, and it's the same with Trip a little bit. You know what, Trip? I won't say him for this.
Dap him up.
But Eleanor, Joan, all these fucking characters.
Ava.
Honestly, it's fucking shit.
I was gonna say David, but that kind of makes sense because he is kind of supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
Because I do think there are if they had a little bit more focus, and like I said, maybe if this was just like, if they just kind of got rid of all the unnecessary shit, if they just focused on the brother dynamic, I think it could have worked if
There's
they
too
were
many
like
dynamics.
if they were two side characters in like a Clementine story. I feel like that dynamic could have worked. But it's like there's too much going on and you can't focus on it and build on it.
Something happens to AJ. You're playing as Clem. You got to get AJ back. You meet a group along the way.
Meet a new group.
And let's say that's Harvey in that.
Well,
there's no way you should
my
be.
idea.
Yeah. Well, there's no way you should be Harvey.
No.
No.
Because Harvey's... And obviously, Harvey is like... I guess he could be kind of interesting, but the only reason people like Harvey is because you play as him.
Yeah, I don't know.
So he's you.
Yeah. Oh, I like Harvey. Yeah, because fucking Harvey, you are making...
Harvey's just like me, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You can't even use the argument of, yeah, well, I'm playing as Harvey, so he makes this... Harvey doesn't say the shit you want to say!
No.
So, fuck him.
And he leaves very little room to, like, roleplay with, like, what you want him to be.
Characters are so fucking obnoxious and annoying. Gabriel.
Gabe.
I fucking hate Gabe.
I kind of understand what they were going to go for, right? They were trying to go for, like...
We'll give kind of love interest.
Imagine if you were a teenager going through puberty during a zombie apocalypse.
No, but he's just a teenager going through puberty. There's no apocalypse, like, in between.
I feel like even a child who's going through puberty would have the common sense to do some of the things that Gabe doesn't do.
He's been going through this shit for 5 years.
Like when Gabe just like blurts out that Harvey shot Conrad, and it's like even a teenager,
even though he did that to save your fucking life, I think, or Clem. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, it was Gabe's life because Conrad had him at the gun, and it's like,
oh yeah, he did.
Even a teenager who is like going through puberty and has emotions mixed up would be smart enough to figure out that it's probably not the best idea. Like I get what they were going for, and I feel like that could be an interesting idea because like it would be a nightmare to raise. It's nightmare raising a teenager anyway, but in an apocalypse it would be a nightmare. But like I feel like they don't do enough to like make Gabe likable so that those moments where he is acting up makes you feel like sorry for him.
Look at some anti-heroes from other seasons. Ben, Nick. They do fucked up shit. It annoys you, but you like them.
You like them. They got some sort of like kind of...
You don't like Gabe.
They have kind of like an understanding behind their actions, which makes them...
The romance feels so forced between them.
Oh god,
there is no like
chemistry
between them.
Yeah, the only reason they get together is because they're just the same age.
They play cards or some shit.
Yeah.
No, Clem doesn't even play cards.
I know this
Gabe's
game.
Gabe's like, oh yeah, play this card game with me. I'm pretty sure that's the only scene where they're like, look happy talking to each other.
Gabe is absolutely just like reading into it way too much.
Yeah, he is.
Like Clementine's just like, sure, I'll play a card game. Yeah, and then Gabe's like, she's in love with me, Harvey. I'm pretty sure she's in love. And it's like, bro.
God. What? Oh, it's so shit. It's so bad.
It's like maybe you could have done like a young love kind of thing.
They should have had Mariana be like a sister to Clem.
That's true.
Like and it would be a different sister dynamic to that of maybe Jane because she's younger. Yeah, she's a big sister. Oh my god.
And the thing is, like, they kind of did like the teen romance thing. They did that better in season 4.
It's done really well it's done so well in season 4.
Yeah, and they...
So what the fuck are you doing? She's like, how old is she meant to be in season 3? Like 14?
14.
What the fuck?
I know.
She wouldn't even be thinking about that shit.
Anyway, Gabe, best character.
You know what we haven't... We're an hour in. Do you know what we haven't talked about?
What?
Kenny and Jane.
Oh my fuck.
Kenny and Jane.
You didn't even think about that.
We need to think about this. We need to talk about this.
Disrespect to all.
This is a fucking huge problem.
Yeah. So
the complete and utter neglect of old characters.
Well, because obviously season 2 ends in multiple ways. There were like four outcomes. And that poses a challenge when doing another season because you have to think, okay,
how are we going to appease everyone?
How are we going to do how are we going to do 4 distinct outcomes? And how the season 3 writers responded is, let's do them in less than 5 minutes and get them over with.
Let's murder them.
Let's murder them.
Callously, not thinking about it.
So I think the least egregious one is probably the Wellington one. Even though that one is also kind of bad because Wellington is built up as this safe place, but it immediately falls to like a truck of raiders come in.
We were meant to believe that this place that's fucking probably more barricaded than any place we've ever seen in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's more like fortified than anything.
But these people breach it for some reason. By the way, we have no idea what the conflict going on is.
Oh no.
It's just some people are here to
steal,
I guess.
Stuff.
I guess.
And that whole that's
what
really
the fuck. How are you losing that fight? Wellington's huge.
I know, and I mean, you only ever see the inside of Clementine's room, and I get why.
God, I've just remembered that hat thing as well, but I'll talk.
Oh, about Kenny's hat.
That's so shit.
Where they're like,
grab it,
grab Kenny's hat.
You don't.
And it never gets implemented. I mean, not even in season 4.
AJ should be wearing that hat.
He should be wearing Kenny's hat.
That would be so good.
Yeah, but I guess not everybody has that hat.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, but that would have been something cool that they could have maybe done relatively easily.
Simply, yeah. But I mean, yeah, the Wellington one isn't so bad. I mean,
oh yeah, so we got 4, right? So you got Wellington, Kenny, Jane, Alone.
The Alone one is probably
all of them are bad.
But I'd say that the Alone one is probably the least bad of the bad ones. Just because it isn't having a respected character die.
I'd say Wellington is.
You think that's... Well, no, that's what I'm saying, after Wellington.
Oh, after Wellington. Okay, yeah.
Because that one is...
They're all shit.
Well, yeah, because in this one, she gets like her fingers stuck in a car door, and then she has to rip her fingers off. And she doesn't have any... And then that's it. It's like, what's the point? What?
I think it's... So, they're in a car... And then they stop. Or no, maybe they're walking and they come across a car, right? They're walking and come across a car, and then they're hungry, right? They're hungry, so they stop when they see this car. And Clem puts AJ in the car while she goes to hunt, I guess, or just scavenge anything from this area. And then while she's like lining up a shot at a rabbit, I think AJ just starts crying uncontrollably in the car. So walkers come. As they do, and then you go back to the car, and while you're trying to get AJ out, you slam your finger in the car door, and then you lose a finger.
I mean, okay. I kind of like how it customizes your version of Clementine, right? Like missing a finger. That's a good way of saying.
And they do.
Look how different my Clementine.
They do reference it in season 4 as well, which is cool.
Yeah, but the issue is, it's such a silly way to lose a finger. It's like, could they not think of any other cool way where she could have like lost it? Maybe it got like bitten off by a walker.
Oh yeah, and she had to cut it. That would be pretty cool.
Cut it, or like even if it just got ripped off by a walker, so it bit into it and then ripped it off, or if she got into like a fight and it like got like cut off,
defending AJ or something.
But it's like
it's AJ's fault that the walkers show up, and then she does something kind of clumsy.
And she got stuck in a car door, and it's like.
I can tell they were just in the fucking whatever it is.
Well, I imagine they just had to rush it. They were just like, okay, I don't know, she's
alone.
Like,
okay, we've done all the other ones. Loses a finger.
We've got the car prop.
We can't just have her doing nothing. So
we've got the car model. We've got the road model. What can we animate?
I like how they try and summarize like what, 3 years, 2 years time span with one scene for that.
Yeah, with a flashback.
Because at least with Wellington, you can kind of have the assurance that okay, they were just chilling there for 2 years. Or even the Jane one,
even though there's so much missed potential.
Even the House one, you could be like, okay, they were just chilling there. Yeah. I guess. The fucking one where they're alone. You're telling me you're summarizing 2 or 3 years worth of survival with that scene, that sole scene.
So I mean, that's like a whole. That's like a whole season of development.
That's fucking garbage. I'm sorry, that's so shit.
But then you've got.
Alright, so what's next?
I mean, it depends. Which one do you think is more disrespectful?
I mean, they're both so disrespectful in different ways. So the Jane one goes against Jane as a character. The Jane scene goes against everything we know about Jane, and just throws it out. Like, it basically just shits on it.
Yeah.
And then the Kenny one is just, well, disrespectful.
Mean-spirited.
In general, yeah. first.
Well, Kenny's is he's teaching Clementine how to drive, right? He's going like, oh,
Which
look
is kind
at
of
the way we drive.
irresponsible.
Which I mean, like, I guess she might have to learn how to drive to drive a car.
So long as Kenny's there, she won't.
Well, Kenny wasn't
Maybe
always
she's
going to be there.
preparing. Well, maybe he's preparing her for when she does. Yeah. If something bad happens.
If I'm being honest, that's not the main issue here.
No.
Is Kenny teaching her to drive?
No.
You know, and I guess that does explain how she can drive in season 3 even.
3, yeah.
Because she drives a car, and it's like if you don't have the context, because how did she learn? But anyway,
how the fuck does that scene happen if you have any of the other ones? Is it just like assume she knows how to drive?
I guess so. Well, with Wellington, maybe because Wellington's like all hot shit, maybe they would have the luxury of being able to teach people to drive. But anyway, you're in the car, and it's like blah, 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 going along, and is it Clementine who crashes into like a sign?
Yeah, you have like a button sequence where you have to try and get certain things right, and you fail either way.
Yeah, and you smash into the thing.
You go spinning out of control. Kenny goes through the window and lands about, what, 10 meters ahead of the car.
Yeah. And he's like, is he paralyzed then?
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like, fucking, his legs are broken.
No, he's like, Clem's like, okay, let's get you up. And he's like, Clem, I can't move.
I can't move my
legs.
legs.
It's okay. And she's like, no, I can't move them. Or something like that. Yeah, he's paralyzed.
So then the zombies show up, and then like
I like how walkers are just always conveniently lurking around these areas.
I mean, yeah,
like they're always just a few feet away.
Yeah, I mean they're in the middle of nowhere driving a car, and it's like luckily there's like a group of them who just happen to be walking.
I can look past that for the sake of like
such a great scene.
Drama.
Such a great scene.
The best scene in The Walking Dead, maybe.
Sorry, but Kenny was mid before season 3. That's the best Kenny version.
Season 3 is
best Kenny. Yeah. But it's like yeah, he's there on the floor, and he's like Clem, go run, and then he's just sitting there paralyzed, and then he gets eaten alive while Clem and AJ run off.
Oh my God.
And it's like, what kind of an ending is this?
And do you know how sad that is for people who chose to be with Kenny? Because if you chose to stay at Wellington, which is basically essentially going against staying with Kenny, you get a better Kenny ending than you do if you go with Kenny.
You get the chance that he survived, but if you go with Kenny
dies.
It's pretty much confirmed.
Kenny gets paralyzed and eaten alive.
Like, that's so fucking bad.
I guess to save Clem and AJ, but he would have just died regardless in that situation.
Yeah, he wasn't going anywhere, was he? Like, it was just like, you guys can go too.
No. Two
they were going to go anyway.
2 seasons of character development just thrown
out the window, proverbially.
I guess that's why they call it window pane.
Quite literally thrown out the window in regards to being thrown out of the car window is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Guess that's why they call it window pane, but you know. That's an Eminem lyric. I'm cutting this out.
That's so funny.
Window pane, like feeling pain.
No. Okay. Yeah. So is there anything else to say about the Kenny thing?
Well, no. I mean, it's just that Kenny as a character deserves way more of a.
And the thing is, right,
send off.
You don't even feel sad. You just feel angry that he died that way. They take that away from you. Like, a character dying of Kenny's magnitude is meant to be this sort of huge moment where you're sort of just extremely upset. But they take it away by making you angry that he died in such a
terrible way.
Yeah, like an ungratifying death.
And he also looks weird with the weird graphics.
He doesn't look that weird compared to Jane.
I think he looks worse than Jane.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna get this on right now.
Yeah. Well, they
both look fucking shit. They both look dreadful. God. All right. Anyway, yeah. So.
Give him an eye patch.
God, let's talk about Jane's one now.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to do it?
You do it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it, bitch.
Okay. I'm gonna have to try and remember it. It's just you 3.
Nobody has apparently
no one's
come to move in.
Yeah. And if they have, we don't know about it.
Yeah.
And they clearly didn't stay long.
No.
God knows how they didn't take it over. Maybe.
Yes.
Did Jane just murder them? Who knows?
I guess so.
Yeah, because Jane, like, let's remember this, guys. What do we know about Jane from where we've played up to this point?
Woman.
She's, yes, she's a woman.
Resilient.
She's resilient. She's level-headed. She makes responsible decisions.
Takes no shit.
She'll make the hard choices when no one else will. She's a survivor. She will risk leaving liable members behind so long as the fittest survive. Because that's all what she's about. Survival. So, what does season 3 do? What does season 3 do with Jane? Well, Jane leaves this area Well, no. Okay. So you're outside with Clem and AJ. You can see Hal's in the distance. Jane, you have a little bit of shit dialogue. And then Jane says, oh, I'm just going to go do something inside, right? So she goes, and you're left with AJ. And then later on, I can't remember if AJ's still in Clem's arms or if she's just put him down somewhere. And, and another thing, AJ looks a lot younger in this than he does in any of the other ones.
Well, this is because it would only be like a few months.
Yeah. Because what happens is she goes into a room looking for Jane and finds her hanging herself. Well, already dead. Well, no, she's a walker, isn't she? She's a walker in a noose. And yeah, so what did I say about what we know about Jane?
Well, I think you're missing out a few key details.
Am I?
The fact that the reason why she hung herself.
Well, I thought everyone would know that.
I mean, everyone would know that. Not everybody has seen that ending.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why. She finds a pregnancy test on the floor. And it's positive.
Pregnant with Luke's baby.
Yeah.
Which is why she hung herself.
Yeah.
Because she's scared of babies, remember? Yeah. She was scared of babies.
So she decided to
kill herself. Would kill herself.
So she would kill herself, ruining the life of Clem and AJ.
Because baby.
Because she doesn't want to have a baby.
I thought she would have tried an abortion at first.
Yeah, that would have been fucking hard to watch, but yeah, she probably would, right?
Yeah.
That's what she would do.
Killing herself.
And also, I think she would actually talk to Clem about it.
Yeah.
Why would she conceal that from Clem?
She'd be like, I got a fucking baby in me. We need to get rid of this thing now.
Why would she not tell Clem?
Yeah. That's probably the worst one. For all the Jane
Even if you were just going to kill yourself, right? Even if you were just going to kill yourself, why not tell Clem and let her prepare? You're letting a child walk in on you fucking dead. The person that she's chosen, effectively.
Now she's like, oh, well, maybe I should have not killed Kenny then.
Oh my god.
That's why Jane was peak season 3. Jane peak season 3, guys. I'm sorry.
I wish you could get all these scenes in season 3.
God, I just wish that season 3 had even more characters.
I wish there wasn't a season 4, honestly. I wish season 3 just ended.
Season 3
should just ended on
season 3 should have ended on the Jane flashback. We can't peak. We can't get any better than that.
Okay. Kenny dying paralysed in the background.
Yeah, and then like Jane being hung, and then just like, that's it. Walking Dead's over.
Okay. It's up to your imagination.
You can figure out. You can figure it out. But no, oh god. I mean, what else is there to say?
No, that's just them shitting on the old characters.
The legacy, and I know it's a difficult position, but like, I really feel like you needed to have at least, if this was Clem's story, which it should have been, you should have had at least one episode dedicated to whatever outcome that was. And yes, it's more development time, but give yourselves more time. You don't need to make like 4 games.
You failed at that shit anyway. You had 5 episodes to create this Richmond narrative, and no one gave. Well, some people did, but I didn't give a fuck.
Most people didn't give a shit. I mean, it probably...
So put an episode towards what... Because that would make people feel like their choices meant something.
Yeah.
Instead of the game developers just throwing it away. Like, what did people cry for at the end of season 2? What did they cry for? What did they cry for?
Don't ask me.
Nothing. They cried for nothing. They cried for Kenny to die paralysed.
Saying, go away, go. Just run. I'm fine here. Yeah, it's not great.
What the fuck? Oh my god.
Shout out season 3.
Season 3.
Well, I think
the new shit too.
It's hard to say, you know, what I want I do want to say that I think there are highlights in here. There are some highlights. Hard to believe, but there are some. I think David is a good character, and I wish he was in a better game. Because I feel like his whole dynamic of kind of being torn between the military and his family, I feel like that could work really well. It's just, it's not in a good game, and it's not with good dialogue. Kate was fine.
Kate's alright. That's my stomach, by the way.
Yeah. Mariana, whatever her name was, she was good for like the 5 minutes she was alive. Trip's okay. But like...
They're all okay. David and Kate are the only good characters.
I would say
I wouldn't even say they're good. I'd say
I'd say David's good.
They're the only characters that would not feel out of place in a good Walking Dead game.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And I mean, Harvey, the only reason you like Harvey is because you either think he's hot.
Harvey's bad. I'm just going to say it. Harvey is bad. Harvey's bad.
Harvey's a great character.
Harvey's not a good character. Harvey is Harvey. Like, he has no personality. His personality is just carelessness, I guess. Like, his personality is being carefree and just doing what he does.
God. No, I need to mention this just in case I've... Shut the fuck up.
That's what he says, isn't it?
Want to smoke?
You just stop smoking weed.
Yo, want to smoke up? No, the worst thing is what pissed me off with Jesus. I'll mention this because I forget.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that much.
Because there's the Harvey smashes Badger's head to kill him.
Oh, we haven't even talked about Badger and...
Well, Badger and Max are like no characters whatsoever. Because Badger's the guy who kills Mariana, right?
And then like shows no remorse.
He's like a cartoon villain
For
who's
no
like,
reason.
yes, I love killing children, and it's like, this is a little absurd.
For no reason.
Not even Carver was like, yes, I love killing children. He wasn't that over the top.
He wouldn't even kill Clem.
He wouldn't kill Clem. He'd beat them because
Yeah.
that's like a realistic kind of fucked up thing to do.
Yeah.
But like killing children is just so cartoonish.
Killing children and then him just having nothing else.
And then him just going like, yes, I love killing children. It's like, what? Shut the fuck up.
Who are you?
And then it's like, we kill him, and then Jesus has the gall to be like, so did you enjoy killing that child murderer?
Oh my god!
And I'm
yeah.
like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He doesn't phrase it like that though. Does?
Well, he's like, are you happy with what you
Do you
done?
feel better now?
Do you feel better that you've taken someone's life? And it's like, I'm sorry, Jesus. But that man literally bragged about murdering children for like 30 minutes.
The thing, they tried to make the Badger death scene
Moral.
similar to like Carver
Yeah.
with the beat down.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about Badger that much
No.
because he's shit. Like, he's not a very good character.
And it's like, Badger is such he's such a cartoonishly evil person that it's like, why would I feel any remorse for killing him?
Yeah.
Like, when Jesus goes, did you feel good for taking a life? I'm like, yes, I did.
It's not to get any backstory. The only thing we know about Badger is he killed a child and then showed no remorse and in fact seemed happy he had.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely think a line of his is, I would have shot that girl again. Or
Well, you
something
say,
along those lines.
I love seeing a girl with a hole
head
between
pop
her
or
eyes or something. Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
And it's like, why is Jesus trying to give me a moral dilemma about this when he's literally the most cartoonishly evil person ever? And Jesus is, what, you sure you liked killing? It's like, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And then David's the only one who's got some fucking balls who's like, yeah, he was a child murderer. I don't think, what, is he going to find forgiveness, Jesus? Ridiculous.
It's not even like we're angry because he's a good villain. He's awful.
Well, he's because he's boring. He's just evil. That's it.
You could probably compare him to Todd from Breaking Bad.
Todd.
They both killed the child, but Todd, it gets explained because he's stupid. Like, he's actually stupid, whereas Badger, we just know nothing about him.
Why are we even trying anymore? What's the point in trying anymore? I just feel so much emptiness inside. Like, why even try?
What a mess. What a mess. And the thing that makes it such a shame is the fact that
It bankrupt the company.
well, it's the reason that season 4 is only 4 episodes, and it was also it came off the back of season 2. What a fall from grace.
What can I say? Some people apparently think it's a jump in quality.
I don't know if anyone is watching this. if anyone is, and you like A New Frontier, I actually want them. I would want someone to tell me why they like A New Frontier, and I would sit there and listen.
It's just because Harvey's such a good character, man. It's like he's just like me, bro. He's just like me for real.
People just don't understand Harvey. Like,
I don't think you understand Harvey. He's just like
the Nat thing.
Nobody knows what you're talking
I know,
about. When you
but-
fucking say that.
But someone tell me I don't think anyone's watching. We might get 0 comments on this.
Yeah.
But if there's one comment, imagine if it's just like, y'all don't know anything about A New Frontier.
Yo,
man.
clicked on this video by accident though. Pretty
maybe,
cool.
You know, maybe. I've played the other seasons maybe like 2 or 3 times, and I've watched playthroughs of them countless times. But season 3, I've played through it once, and I haven't watched any playthroughs of it. And there's a reason for that, but also maybe it's because I don't know the ins and outs.
Well, I played it 3 times and I still don't like it. So, if I'm being honest. Oh, 4 actually. 4. If I'm being 4. You right there?
Oh my god!
Because I would have done it. I would have done it.
Shit, I played it twice actually. One with you and once by myself.
What a
And
nightmare.
I actually had music in for some time because I was just doing it to like progress.
Oh, see, that's how you know that.
Why'd you play it 4 times? Oh, once when it first came out.
You.
Once with me, once with your mum, and then once after.
I did it with Jimmy too.
Oh, did
Well,
you?
5 times then.
You did it with Jimmy.
I did.
Season 3.
Without playing any of the others.
What did you think?
He didn't like it.
Oh, it's shit. Yeah.
I don't know.
You should have played season 1 with him.
Oh, I get bored of playing because I've just played.
yeah,
I played
that's
so
fair,
much of
that's
season
fair.
1. I'm like,
You wanted to start somewhere else.
and it was new. Season 3 was new at the
You
time.
could start with season 4.
I don't think season 4 was out even at the time.
Oh shit.
This was like 2017 or something.
So that's what we got.
So I did not have
yeah,
the
you
option.
couldn't start season 2.
Anyway, that's our season 3 talk?
Yeah, that's the worst Walking Dead game. That might be the worst like thing the Walking Dead universe, whatever you want to call it, has ever done
Well,
and will ever do. Oh no, it's one of. Actually, it's still fucking worse. Honestly,
you think it's worse than
Clementine book.
Mm.
Actually, shit. No, that's a debate. Actually.
that's season 3, and we'll do season 4 at some point.
Oh wait, no, wait. Don't you want to talk about what you would have done for season 2 ending into season 3?
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a separate thing though. You can cut this bit if you want.
No, I can do this. I
Okay.
can fucking
Okay,
do
fair
this.
enough.
So, with season 3 sort of out of the way, and as we know, it was a masterpiece. It was one of the greatest games of all time. It won the Oscars, even though it's a game. It won the Oscars, even though it was a game. That's how good it was.
And Will Smith. Well, I was gonna make a Will Smith joke, but I just can't.
And Will Smith won. You know, Will Smith actually played Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah. Will Smith actively praised.
Kate's gonna leave your
Yeah.
ass, David.
That was Will.
Kate's gonna
Will Smith's
leave
decision
your
to have that line.
Shit is
The
stupid.
boss, Harvey.
You're the boss, Harvey. It was a G.I. Jane joke. I'm sorry, this is like...
Kate's gonna leave.
Kate's gonna leave your ass.
My CEO. My CEO gave me that. Let's go and dig up his
Fucking corpse.
I'm not getting another
I'm
one.
not getting another one. No, look.
Shit, my heart hurts.
Well,
genuinely.
look. I mean...
Oh.
Okay, so season 3 has a lot of potential, right? But for me, like, I feel
Had a lot of
like...
potential. Yeah.
Because it's over and done with. But season 3, I feel like you could have... And this is kind of... I feel like it should have been more of a... I don't mind AJ getting taken, right? Because I think that gives them kind of a clear goal. Like, AJ getting taken. And plus, the fact that AJ is a baby won't give you much dialogue, will it? Because he doesn't talk. So, like, I think it is a good idea to have him kind of be taken somewhere, and then Clem has to go and find him. But I would have had it as...
Well, I think you should surface this by saying, this is our, but mostly Christians' premise of what the game could have been and how it could have been better. I think you should just say that. Like, this is like your story.
This
pretty
is
much.
my story, baby.
I had a few things I put in there, but this is mostly him.
You did nothing.
We had conversations.
You did nothing. I'm joking. You gave me the idea to call it The Walking Dead, so there you go.
What would you do without me, honestly?
I know. But, yeah, well, my idea would have had... So it kind of starts with season 2, right? Because my initial idea for a season 2 ending would be to kind of include the stuff that was cut, most of the stuff that was cut, and to have the endings of season 2 be with Luke at Wellington. This is my ideas, okay? So you're not a fan of that, but with Luke at Wellington, with Kenny at a different place that's kind of like Wellington, but like kind of like a nice safe place, or be with yourself at either of those places. And then you would have season 3 start. The entire first episode would be dedicated to those endings. And it would be about an outside force coming in and invading the place and like taking AJ and killing.
But contextualized.
Contextualized.
Not just a random group shows up. Maybe you get there and some.
Well, I had the idea of them being like an anarchist group who was trying to like stop. They didn't want civilization to come back. So that's why they target like Wellington and other like places because they don't want to like return to.
You get that explained to you, like maybe some of the characters in your group tell you about it.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
then
just fucking random.
I would have I'd have them show up, and then you would have the first episode would be about them attacking this place, whether it's Wellington or somewhere else.
Well, before they attack, you should talk about the fact that depending on who you chose, Luke or Kenny, you have individualistic scenes with them, like so scenes where Luke's acting like a brother, and
well, I
include maybe a little bit of.
Well, I
romance.
specifically had the idea of you could kind of have to sort of kind of start off the game on like a light foot. You could have maybe Clem has a crush on someone at the place, and then Kenny would be kind of protective of her in that scenario. I feel, and he'd be kind of like, "Oh, is this boy bothering you, Clem?"
Like protective dad
Yeah,
mode.
and I feel like Luke would probably sort of tease her about it.
Yeah, the teasing brother.
And I feel like that would be, even though in both scenarios, whether you're with Luke at one place or Kenny at the other place, even though that would always have the boy who is like Clem's kind of into, you would still have two different responses to it.
Yeah.
And that would kind of personalize
your choice at the end of season 2 as well.
And then it would just, and you would get a little bit of that kind of play, and you get a little bit of talk of how the place is run. Because I think a lot of people wanted to see what Wellington was like.
Yeah, I mean, I did.
Like, what was life like there? Because, like, obviously it was like a massive place people wanted to go to. What was life like there? So you get to see a little bit of that in Wellington, and then you get to see. I had the idea of like an abandoned shopping mall to be the other place, because it's kind of big. You've got like loads of levels. You could have like people living in the different shops, kind of setting up their own shops, kind of thing. Like, and there's a lot of zombie movies that have like abandoned malls. So I was thinking that could be kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
And you could have it almost be a reflection of the ski lodge. Because, you know, in the ski lodge, they had, like, the Christmas lights and everything. You could have it where they have the luxury of having the lights on. You could maybe see people, like...
They all had, like, backup storage and stuff.
Yeah, you could see, like, people playing baseball or, like, football or something like that to, like, kind of, like, ramp up, oh, things have been good.
Yeah.
So you could say that Clementine's almost been softened a little bit, so that when it comes, when the, like, the threat comes, it's even more like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like her... Yeah.
She's out of her element.
Going to an end.
So then they attack... And then I would have that episode kind of be about, like, trying to kind of frantically kind of survive this attack. And you get to see all this shit going down. Her crush would get killed. I know. Sad.
Yeah.
But,
and I think Luke and Kenny would...
That would, my idea would be I think...
And even though, like, you'd probably be upset that they died that early,
I feel like it would be good to have a full episode of them.
Because think about it this way. They died in the first episode of season 3 regardless, but they were confined to one scene. Well, Luke wasn't there, but you know what I mean.
And, like, I would like to have those... And I don't want them to die at the very end of episode 1.
Very end.
And have them, like, sacrifice themselves.
Emotional death saving Clem and AJ. In different scenarios depending on Kenny or...
And even ignoring, like, my alternate season 2 ending... Or our alternate season 2 ending where it's Luke and Kenny are the last ones. You could still have Jane do something like this, I feel.
Yeah, she could be a teasing sister.
Yeah. And like, and I just think, I think we just had the idea of, like, because we were like on the rift of rewriting season 2, but like, it's because I feel for so many people, it was so jarring to just have less than 5 minutes of context as to what happened.
Well, it's so disappointing. You play season 3 because you liked the last game and you want a continuation, and then you don't get that. Whereas this version would mean that you do.
And I would have had like, they kind of come out and like, everything is completely destroyed and Clementine's crying and AJ's been taken, and then the cliffhanger of the episode is that she kind of finds a new group, and this new group is made up of like people whose settlements have been destroyed by this like anarchist group, and they're kind of in like a bunch of trailers driving across the American wilderness looking for revenge, and then each person in the group has their own reason for going after them. So maybe one guy in the group's got his children got kidnapped, or someone had their like husband killed. And you'd kind of learned all the trauma of everyone in the group.
This is where you'd meet like David and Kate's like characters.
Yeah, this is where you would meet these types.
Maybe them, or maybe characters like them.
Yeah,
that follow a similar.
And then you would have I would also have it kind of set in the American West. You could kind of have like a Western style. Deal with new things, because season 2 was about the cold.
Winter, yeah.
You could do season 3 about like warmth and like lack of water.
Yeah, and add environmental factors.
And you could have it be kind of a road trip, because I feel like a good part of Walking Dead is kind of the journey to a new location. What's the problem with season 3 as it is now is that you end up in Richmond and then you basically stay there for. You look at the same environments.
Season 1 it was Savannah. Season 2 it was Wellington. Season 3 you just get there in like episode 2 or something.
Because you don't get to Wellington until like the very last thing.
I mean, season 4 is the school, but that's just so well done that it doesn't matter.
Or does it?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Good to get a definitive answer on that. But that was our idea of it anyway. And look, I've written notes.
It could go far from there.
Yeah, Skybound, Telltale, call me up. I know you're just gonna message me directly and be like, listen, we're gonna throw out everything that all our writers wrote and just restart the entire thing. Bring back Telltale is back.
Oh yeah, it is.
But like,
it's the first project.
They're like, listen,
rewriting The Walking Dead.
Season 3 remade.
Remaking season 2 and 3.
Yeah. Well, not 2 yet, partially, I suppose.
Only the Luke thing, though. Keep everything else, like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was writing a fanfic for a while.
Yeah, mainly season 3.
Yeah.
Season 4 can be the same, because that's fucking brilliant.
Get rid of season 4. Season 4 is mid. But those were ideas, anyway. That was kind of a
They're very
tangent.
good ideas. They're so good. They're such good ideas that I don't know why the fuck that didn't even cross their mind.
I mean, I guess they were just like tired of... I guess they just didn't want to do Clementine's story. Or they just didn't want to commit to...
How?
I don't know.
No, House, the place.
Oh, House, of course. Yes, House.
Oh, such a dead
You're
joke.
an idiot. Well, they put the 18 on Batman,
God.
I think.
Fuck. Talking about season 3 is exhausting.
I'm tired already.
I feel like I want to go to bed.
It has been an hour and a half, but...
That's pretty good. Wait, so how long was season 2?
Like 4 hours.
Sounds about right, though.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, anyway...
It almost parallels the amount of care they put into each season.
Yeah.
Season 3 was like, what, 3.5 hours? Season 4 was 4 hours. This is 1.5.
Yeah, they only worked on the game for 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
You got to respect it.
Yeah, that's it.
With that in mind, it's actually very impressive.
Yeah.
But no,
that's almost like Jake Paul when he's like, we wrote this in one day.
And he's expecting people to be like,
yeah, well,
yo, you wrote this in one day?
We can tell.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right,
that's season 3. And I'm just wrapping up some presents here.
If there is anyone listening, anyone.
You must have no life,
and
bro.
you like...
You deadass have no life.
No, they do.
Well, they're listening to this, bro.
They do have a life, and I appreciate...
They listen to an hour and 40 of, like...
shitting on the season 2.
Schizophrenic ramblings.
If anyone is watching this and you like season 3, give us a long paragraph
I don't think anyone who would like it would watch this far.
Well, it depends what you title it.
Because as soon as you heard...
Because you could title it like, oh, just season 3 review. Maybe they think they like it. Well, they watch it and then they see that instantly we don't like it, and then they do their rambling comment.
No, they'd probably click as soon as they heard us go, like, just like sigh out and just go like, anyway, we're talking about it. They'd go, okay, I like the game, so I'm not even going to bother engaging with it.
Can you imagine if they just saw like the length of the other ones as well?
Yeah, 4 hours. That is going to be funny. When you kind of see like the you see the runtime comparison.
Yeah.
You got like 3 hours, 4 hours, hour and a half. Mostly there's some dead noise needs to be edited out, but yeah, that's season 3.
That's season 3.
And we'll do season 4 at some point.
Nice.
See you in the next video.